Mic check, mic check. It's good to be back. But at the same time, sometimes you get those songs to where they tell a deeper story, a deeper rooted meaning in something that most people don't want to think about. But what Joyner Lucas does in this particular piece, as he sits here with his son, this is a story time that no father should ever have with his son or daughter. But the reality of the situation is, in these times and these days, sometimes the things that we value the most and think are going to protect us can be the most dangerous to us. I've seen quite a bit, but I tell you what, I hope a day never comes to where I gotta live out the story that you're about to witness. Hey, it is what it is, but for God's sakes, I hope we can change in the future. Without further ado, let's see what you got for us today, Joyner. I hope everybody start paying attention to his music, because he might not be A-list, but he sure as hell knows exactly what he's talking about, and his storytelling is top tier. All right, let's get into it. All right, Joyner, let's see what you got. Let's get it rolling.
Man, you know you're supposed to be asleep, right?
I'm having trouble falling asleep.
You having trouble falling asleep? How about Daddy reads you a bedtime story?
Yeah.
Want me to read you a bedtime story?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got just the perfect bedtime story for you.
Three Little Pigs.
See this story right here? It's called The Three Little Pigs.
So they were three little pigs. They was all grown up, and they were drinking some hot coffee and eating donuts. It was a beautiful sunny day, some real perfect weather, and the pigs was dressed the same, cause they all work together, and that job ain't really easy, and they work is kinda scary, so they all got water guns. That's their favorite thing to carry, and they'll squirt you more than once if they think it's necessary, but we'll talk about that later. Let's get back to the story.
Automatically off top, I mean, you start to realize the beat is not overriding the story. The story itself is being told in a manner that, hey, I want you to focus on what I'm saying versus the beat. And Joyner's got some nasty beats. He's definitely a lyrical genius when it comes to certain things, but knowing the fact that, hey, I'm telling a story to my son about a serious situation, and he's painting the picture beforehand to lead up to something else really does this story justice. Honestly, the artwork and everything, the visuals of what he's putting out here, amazing. So whoever did his artwork, hey, salute to you.
Deep inside the forest was a family of wolves in a pack. Even though they had sharp teeth and they were black, ain't really mean that they'll attack. Just means that they were trapped because the color of their fur made some believe that they was bad.
He could have easily said the color of their fur. I mean, it was black. I mean, you can definitely tell the reference from the pigs being and representing the white culture, and then the wolves being the black culture. Obviously, of course, you got the chains, you got the water guns, but we understand the representation of that.
I know that sounds sad, but ain't nobody care, cause the problem with the wolves is they were never treated fair, and
Got a
no
hoodie
matter
on?
where they go, only one thing is clear, that as long as you're a wolf, the pigs gonna be scared. So the forest and the town was separated, and if the wolves wanted to come around, they hesitated, cause they knew they wasn't welcome there. So every time they roamed, they always said a prayer in hopes that they could make it home. The night was getting cold and all the food was running low. And then right here is a picture of some pots on the stove, some empty cabinets, some old bread with the mold. Let me flip the page right quick. Then one of the wolves said they gon' drive up to the store, and so he hopped inside his car, and before he cranked the key,
I think it's wild when we're looking at this. I mean, if you're really looking at both cultures, both are trying to take care of each culture. I mean, every family attempts to try to take care of their own families. In this situation, you've got the wolves that obviously are seen in a certain way because of how they look. And I think that's the beauty of flipping this nursery rhyme or, this bedtime story to how he did it. It's just amazing to think like, hey, everybody's trying to make it. Everybody's trying to do their own thing. Everybody's trying to excel to the next level. So the amount of work, I mean, we didn't go into the story of what the wolves did, but obviously they're trying to live comfortably. I mean, you've got segregation, you've got the pigs trying to outcast, and they see the wolves as fearful creatures, but again, two animals. I mean, the human race and being human although there's differences, for the most part, we're trying to do the same thing. So it's a blessing to see him tell this story, at least to his son, to at least try to raise some awareness about a situation that is very prevalent in our society. It's sad, but by not telling this story, again, you have your shootings that we have seen and so forth. And we're just gonna run it back a little bit. It's just the shit is honestly depressing to think about if you really think in depth on this, because this is a true story, and unfortunately my man had to flip a cartoon to tell you a story that is very real.
Low. And then right here is a picture of some pots on the stove, some empty cabinets, some old bread.
I mean, my man just going to get something to eat.
Then one of the wolves said they gon' drive up to the store, and so he hopped inside his car. And before he cranked the key, put his seatbelt on and buckled up to be a safe beat. Followed every traffic rule on the way from A to Z, and then he went to. Man, let me skip to the good part. So after he bought some groceries and he was done for good, then he put the food inside his trunk as fast as he could. And he started driving perfectly and headed towards the woods until he seen the pig's car and knew this probably wasn't good. The pigs on the prowl started speeding up and yelling loud, pull over right now. Turn the car off and throw the keys on the ground and step out and get on your knees and don't even make a sound. The wolf said, wow, how is this allowed? I got my license, registration, why you trying to take me down? And he was real scared because he knew what the pig's about, so he refused to get out.
It's crazy to think that the wolf had everything, was abiding by all the rules, and still got approached in a manner like this. It's sad to think that society is like this, but again, the wordplay and everything that he's doing with this as he's telling this story, we'll just run this back to before he gets pulled over and listen to the conversation that's happening, because one side's trying to justify themselves, the other is trying to antagonize the situation. In every story, I mean, you have both, but in this one, is it right? And I think that's the biggest question that we have to answer.
Speeding up and yelling loud, pull over right now. Turn the car off and throw the keys on the ground and step out and get on your knees and don't even make a sound. The wolf said, wow, how is this allowed? I got my license, registration, why you trying to take me down? And he was real scared because he knew what the pig's about, so he refused to get out and started speeding to his house. He's scared.
Then he didn't break any laws, and he's scared.
Almost fell down, but ran inside the front door. That's when he locked the pigs out. Then the pigs screamed loud, get about this house now, or I'ma huff, I'ma puff, I'ma blow this house down. And now they got the house surrounded.
Just a simple wordplay on that plays into the story that he's telling overall. And again, the fear in the wolf side, or the black man, this is what makes this story amazing. Like, just to understand, like, hey, I am trying my best to live life in a positive manner. I've obeyed all laws. I am not doing anything wrong. At the end of the day, I am literally just trying to feed my family. I went to the store, I'm trying to feed my family. This is what's depressing about society in today, knowing that these situations occur and there is nothing that we can do from our side to change the narrative of how we are seen in certain avenues. And for him to be telling this story by looping it all back to his son as he's laying down in bed and flipping pages, that is something that, unless you've been in a situation like that, or unless you've seen the news and the media and how things are portrayed, that is a tough ass conversation to have, and one that you don't want to think about. Again, we want to talk about progression. How do you get ahead? Not how do you stay safe. No family wants to feel like, hey, this is the only way that you can stay safe. So let me tell you this story of what happened in the simplest format of the Three Little Pigs. Salute to you, sir.
Pointing all they water guns, about to shoot some water rounds. Kicked the door down and all they heard was water sounds. That's what happens when the pigs fear you. So here's the moral with a story with a clear view. No matter who you with or where you're at or where to, there's always gonna be three little pigs living near you.
Good night, buddy.
I need to run this back just a little bit more. And it's only because
down, but ran inside the
This
front.
this portion right here, when he runs inside the house and Joyner talks about the wolf being scared, and then he talks about the pigs near the end of the song having fear. Sometimes it's just a conversation that you need to have. Sometimes the people that you don't know are not a threat to you. And if you really understood their stories, it would give you a better placement of really knowing, like, hey, we are all human in a certain aspect. But for this to be put in a bedtime story format, it's amazing. Let's watch the end of this again.
Door, that's when he locked the pigs out. Then the pigs scream loud, get about this house now, or I'ma huff, I'ma puff, I'ma blow this house down. And now they got the house around and pointing all they water guns, about to shoot some water rounds. Kicked the door down and all they heard was water sounds. That's what happens when the pigs fear you. So here's the moral with a story with a clear view. No matter who you with or where you're at or where to, there's always gonna be 3 little pigs living near you.
Good night, buddy.
Man, if that doesn't break your heart to honestly sit back and think about, like, hey, these conversations are happening in some neighborhoods. And even as he's looking and sitting there with his son, he's able to close his eyes right now knowing that his son is safe. But to think there are tougher communities, tougher neighborhoods, and there's a lot more on the line for a lot of other families who don't have this luxury. Again, our job is to try to place ourselves in the safest space, but sometimes those safest spaces can become the most dangerous just because what is deemed to be safe to some others don't even want us in those safe spaces. So then we become the dangerous piece of a community. And it doesn't mean that. Like, hell nah. I mean, George and Wheezy wanted to move to a big house or a big apartment in the sky. And who doesn't want to do that? Who doesn't want to live better? But to have to come back and tell these stories, and if you're looking at all of the, I'm gonna just be honest, all the children that have been shot down, even the representation of the water gun, if you know that story and how a water gun ended up having a child killed, you gotta pay attention to what is being offered in music. This isn't just a story that is made up. Some of the best music out there tells a true story with some true substance behind it. And if you're looking at what is actually going on, I'm just glad this man is able to hold his son at the end of the day, just like I would want to hold my daughters at the end of the day, knowing that they're safe. And most parents who care about their children would want the exact same thing. I will do anything and everything I can for the greater good of my closest circle that I have, understanding that my family needs to be better and in better situations. And it is levied upon me, not only as a man, but as a father, whether it be a brother, uncle, whatever line or whatever title that you hold within that family, we got to protect each other. And a skin color does not change the fact that that is what's important in the grand scheme of things. Because at the end of the day, we all want to at least pass on having to have had the ability to live life. And when that's taken away from us, it leaves scars that you just can't undo. So even the news outlets that we see that have situations like this, those scars that remain in our community, the reason why people react in a certain way, it's not just because nothing happened. It's because something happened in a community and we're hesitant. Again, everybody knows not every law enforcement is bad. Everybody understands that. But it's the fact that you don't know what you're dealing with when you do come in contact with that law enforcement. You got to gain trust in such a short period of time that might not be, the other person might not seem that way. And that is really sad to think about. I don't know how else to let this roll out. Joyner, I do appreciate you bringing a story of this caliber to the screen. I hate the fact that this isn't more mainstream, because most of the stories that you do tell really paint a picture, and that is the wonderful side of being an artist in a rap game, understanding hip hop, and having a certain amount of influence in this game. Yeah. I feel like I need a fucking drink, to be perfectly honest, because I mean, I would hate to know that all the work that we've put into our lives to become parents, to give that safe space, could all end in a moment just because of an interaction. All I'm gonna say is, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what jobs we run into, doesn't matter the people that we run into. Interactions are so important. And I just pray that when it truly does come down to something like this, I pray that we do teach our children to be better in situations like this and to honestly just throw our hands up. But hope is not a strategy in life. Hope does not get us anywhere. I just pray that we never have to deal with more situations like this, and they pop up every day. But I do appreciate Joyner for being the man that he is and pointing this out, because this is a struggle in the community, and no matter where we're at, it's sad when you're looked at differently or less than. Then I might just go ahead and get me something to drink. So until next time, love everybody the best that you can. Because last thing I want to know is I just saw somebody and then they're not with us anymore and they had so much more life to live. And on that note, it's tone deaf music, but I'm out.